we just brought Internet Archive, archive.org, back online after being knocked offline by a hacker, and we have done amazing amount to go and put in place new security structures to be able to make us more reliable and more secure than we were before.
And welcome back. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into what happened to the Internet Archive.
Oh, yeah.
You know that amazing online library where you can find like pretty much anything digital, from old websites to vintage music?
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's like a time capsule for the internet.
Yeah, it really is.
But, well, they were recently hit with a cyber attack.
Oh.
And we're going to unpack exactly what went down
Okay.
and how it affects you.
Yeah, and I think what's really striking about this attack is how vulnerable even the most well-intentioned organizations are, in our digital world.
Yeah.
I mean, the Internet Archive is a nonprofit, right?
Yeah, right.
Dedicated to providing free access to information, yet they were targeted in a way that knocked their services offline for weeks.
Weeks, yeah. Yeah, so let's get into the details of this cyber attack.
Okay.
The Internet Archon's blog post says it all started on October 8th.
Oh, wow. So recently.
Yeah.
Hackers got their hands on email addresses and encrypted passwords, which they then posted on a so-called transparency website.
Interesting.
Can you explain what that is?
Sure.
What is a transparency website?
So transparency websites are basically online platforms that hackers use to expose data they've stolen.
Oh.
It's a tactic designed to pressure victims into books of ransom or to extort money by threatening to release even more sensitive information. It's a growing trend, unfortunately, and it plays on the fear of public exposure.
Yeah, no, that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, they didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
The hackers also used the archive's third-party help desk system to send emails directly to users.
Oh, wow.
That's scary.
So that means they're able to target users directly,
Right.
potentially tricking them into clicking on malicious links or sharing personal data.
Oh, gosh.
And while the passwords stolen were encrypted, it's still a concern because even encrypted passwords can be cracked with enough time and computing power, especially if they weren't strong to begin with. And so this raises an important question for all of you listening.
Yeah.
How strong are your passwords?
Yeah, are you using different passwords for different sites?
That's key.
Yeah, that's a good point. We should all be taking password security seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
This cyber attack caused a major disruption for the Internet Archive.
Yeah.
Tell me, what was the impact on their services?
Well, the Wayback Machine,
Yeah.
the service that lets you browse archived versions of websites, was down for days.
Oh, wow.
And other services were affected too, like ArchiveIt,
Okay.
which helps institutions preserve their own digital collections.
So like universities.
Yeah, the universities, libraries, museums,
Okay.
archive. It essentially lets them create their own mini Wayback Machines for their specific content.
Oh, that's interesting.
So this attack had a ripple effect across the digital preservation community.
Oh, wow.
Really did.
So the Internet Archive has been working hard to recover. Yeah.
And it hasn't been easy.
Of course not.
They've been bringing services back online in stages, starting with the Wayback Machine on October 13th
Okay.
and ArchiveIt on October 17th.
So it sounds like we're taking a very gradual approach, which makes sense after a large-scale attack like this.
Yeah.
They need to rebuild trust and ensure everything is secure before restoring full functionality.
Right.
It's like carefully piecing together a puzzle, making sure each piece fits correctly and securely before moving on to the next.
Yeah, good analogy.
Thanks.
As of today, October 21st, archive.org, the main website, is back online.
Oh, good.
But it's limited to read-only mode.
Okay.
What does that mean for people who use the site?
Well, essentially, you can browse and search the archives.
Okay.
But you can't upload new content, borrow digital books, or use any of the interactive features.
Oh.
It's a temporary measure while they continue investigating the attack and fortifying their systems.
Okay, so it's not fully back to normal.
Not quite, no. And this isn't an isolated incident, is it? Other libraries were targeted as well?
Unfortunately, no.
Really?
The Internet Archive's blog post mentions that several other libraries have faced similar cyber attacks.
Like what other libraries?
Well, we're seeing a disturbing trend here.
Okay.
The British Library, a treasure trove of historical documents and literature.
Wow, even the British Library.
Yes.
That's concerning.
Yes, and it doesn't stop there.
Oh, no.
The Seattle Public Library, a major hub for information and community resources.
That's alarming.
Yes, public libraries are such vital resources for communities.
Absolutely.
And then you have the Toronto Public Library,
Okay.
one of the largest public library systems in the world.
Wow.
This list just keeps getting scarier.
Any others?
And finally, the Calgary Public Library, another essential community resource.
Wow. So it's really widespread.
It is, and it paints a rather bleak picture of the threats facing institutions entrusted with preserving knowledge and culture.
Yeah, it's pretty unsettling to think that these institutions, which are dedicated to providing free access to information,
Right.
are being targeted in this way.
That is, yeah.
Why would anyone want to attack them?
Well, the motivations can vary,
Okay.
but they often boil down to a few key factors: disruption,
Okay.
data theft,
Mm-hmm.
and extortion.
Okay.
Some hackers might simply want to disrupt services and cause chaos,
Right.
while others might be after valuable data they can sell or exploit.
Yeah.
Still others might see these institutions as easy targets for extortion, believing they'll pay a ransom to avoid further disruption or damage.
So it's like they're really vulnerable.
They are.
So this cyber attack on the Internet Archive, as awful as it is part of a much larger trend targeting cultural and knowledge institutions worldwide.
Exactly.
It's not just about the Internet Archive.
No, not at all.
It's a bigger issue.
Yeah, it really underscores how vulnerable we are in the digital age, and it highlights the importance of cybersecurity for everyone, from individuals to large institutions.
Yeah, so what does this all mean for our listeners? What can they do to protect themselves and their data?
Well, first and foremost, it's a wake-up call to be more aware of your own digital security practices.
Okay.
Think about it. If a nonprofit organization like the Internet Archive, with its mission to preserve knowledge,
Right.
can be targeted,
Right.
then anyone can be a target.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
So where do we start? What are some practical steps we can take?
Well, let's dive into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we've established that cybersecurity is more important than ever.
It really is.
What can our listeners do to protect themselves, especially in light of this attack on the Internet Archive?
Well, one of the most important things is to check if your email address was part of the data breach.
Okay.
There's a website called Have I Been Pwned,
Okay, yeah.
where you can enter your email address and see if it's been compromised in any known data breaches.
Yeah, I've heard of that site.
Yeah.
It's a bit unnerving to see your email pop up there.
It can be.
But it's better to know than not know, right?
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to cybersecurity.
Right.
If your email was part of the breach, you'll want to change your password on any affected accounts. And make sure you're using strong, unique passwords for each site.
Speaking of strong passwords, what makes a password strong these days?
Oh, that's a good question.
It feels like the requirements keep getting more complex.
They do. It's not just about length anymore. It's about complexity.
Okay.
A strong password should be at least 12 characters long,
Okay.
include a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers,
Yep.
and symbols,
Okay.
and not be easily guessable like your pet's name or your birthday.
Got it. So long, complex, and unique passwords for every site.
Exactly.
Is there anything else we can do to boost our security?
Yes, enable two-factor authentication whenever possible.
Yeah.
This adds an extra layer of security by requiring you to enter a code from your phone or email in addition to your password.
Yeah, I've seen that option on a lot of sites, but I've been putting off setting it up.
Yeah.
It seems like a hassle.
I know it can seem like an extra step,
Yeah.
but it's a small inconvenience compared to the potential consequences of having your accounts compromised.
Okay, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
Two-factor authentication, it is.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Be wary of phishing attempts,
Okay.
especially in the wake of this data breach.
Yeah.
Hackers might try to impersonate the Internet Archive or other organizations,
Right.
sending you emails or messages asking for personal information
Okay.
or directing you to malicious websites.
So how can we spot a phishing attempt?
That's a great question.
Are there any red flags to look out for?
Definitely pay close attention to the sender's email address.
Okay.
Does it look legitimate?
Mm-hmm.
Look for misspellings or grammatical errors,
Okay.
which are often signs of a phishing attempt. And never click on links or attachments from unknown senders.
Mm-hmm.
If something feels off, trust your instincts.
Good advice.
Yeah,
This is a lot of good information,
it is.
but it's also a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
It feels like we have to be constantly on guard in the digital world.
I understand that feeling. It is a lot to keep track of.
Right.
But remember, even small steps can make a big difference in protecting yourself and your data.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
So we've talked about passwords, two-factor authentication, and phishing attempts.
Right.
Is there anything else we should be mindful of?
Yes. Be conscious of the information you share online.
Okay.
Think before you post.
Right.
Could this information be used against you? Could it compromise your privacy or security?
Yeah, it's easy to forget that what we share online can have real-world consequences.
Exactly. And be selective about the websites and apps you use.
Okay.
Stick to reputable sites and apps that have strong privacy and security policies.
So this whole conversation has really opened my eyes to the importance of digital literacy.
Yeah.
It's not just about knowing how to use technology, it's about using it safely and responsibly.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Digital literacy is essential in today's world.
Mm.
It's about understanding the risks, taking precautions, and being an informed and empowered digital citizen.
So even though this cyber attack on the Internet Archive has brought to light some serious challenges,
Right.
it's also an opportunity for all of us to learn and improve our own digital practices.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in creating a safer and more resilient digital world.
Speaking of the Internet Archive, they're still recovering from this attack,
They are.
but they're not letting it stop them from their mission.
No, not at all.
It's pretty inspiring, actually.
It is. It's a testament to their dedication to preserving knowledge and making it accessible to everyone.
Mm.
They're rebuilding, they're strengthening their defenses, and they're continuing to provide access to their vast collection, even in a limited capacity.
Their resilience is admirable.
It is.
It's like they're saying, we're not going to let this attack on knowledge win.
Exactly. It's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that even in the face of adversity, knowledge and information can prevail.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the specifics of the cyber attack to the broader implications for cybersecurity and digital literacy.
We have.
But before we move on, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier
Okay.
about the hackers' motivations.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know anything more about who might be behind this attack?
Unfortunately, the Internet Archive hasn't released any details about who might be responsible
Okay.
or what the specific motives might be.
So we're left to speculate.
For now, yes. But it's important to avoid jumping to conclusions or spreading rumors.
Right.
Let's stick to the facts and wait for more information to emerge from the investigation.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in speculation, especially in the wake of a major cyber attack.
It is. Yeah, it's important to be patient
Mm-hmm.
and to rely on credible sources of information.
And to remember that there are real people behind these attacks.
Yes, absolutely.
And their motivations can be complex and varied.
Exactly. It's not always a simple case of good versus evil.
Right.
There may be economic, political, or even ideological factors at play.
So where does that leave us? We know the Internet Archive was attacked. We know they're working hard to recover. And we know that this is part of a larger trend of cyber attacks targeting cultural institutions. But the motivations behind this specific attack remain unclear.
That's a fair summary.
Okay.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that uncertainty.
Mhm.
It's a reminder that we don't always have all the answers,
Yeah.
and that the digital world is constantly evolving, presenting new challenges and complexities.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Me too.
It's important to be aware of the challenges.
Yes.
And to support organizations like the Internet Archive that are working to preserve our digital heritage.
I agree, and it's important to remember that we all have a role to play in protecting and preserving knowledge and information.
Well said. You know, this whole deep dive started with us talking about this cyber attack on the Internet Archive.
Right.
And it's really made me think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
If institutions like the archive are facing these kinds of threats, you know, what can we as individuals do to protect and preserve digital culture?
That's a great question.
Especially with these attacks becoming more and more frequent, it feels like a bit of a David and Goliath situation.
It does. It does. Yeah. You know, it really highlights the fact that digital preservation isn't just the responsibility of these large institutions.
Right.
It's something we all have a stake in.
Yeah.
And you're right, it might feel overwhelming, but even small actions can make a difference.
So where do we even begin? It feels like the internet is this vast, ever-expanding universe.
It is, but you can start by being mindful of your own digital footprint.
Okay.
Think about the data you share online,
Mm-hmm.
the websites you visit, the links you click.
Okay.
Ask yourself, could this information be used against me?
Right.
Could it compromise my privacy or security?
Okay.
It's all about being a conscious and informed digital citizen.
So being more aware of our own actions online,
Right.
is there anything else we can do that kind of goes beyond our individual behavior?
Absolutely. Supporting organizations like the Internet Archive is crucial.
Okay.
Donating, volunteering, or simply spreading the word about their mission
Right.
all contribute to their resilience and helps them fight back against these threats.
Yeah.
It's like, being a digital advocate for knowledge.
It's like a digital version of supporting your local library, but on a global scale.
Exactly. And just like advocating for your local library,
Mm.
you can also advocate for stronger data protection policies,
Right.
both online and offline.
Mm.
Vote for representatives who prioritize cybersecurity
Okay.
and support legislation that safeguards our digital heritage.
Right.
We can use our voices and our choices to shape a safer digital world.
Wow. I hadn't thought about it in those terms before. Like every click, every download, every donation, every conversation, it all adds up
It does.
to a collective effort to protect this wealth of knowledge we have online.
Exactly.
It's kind of empowering, actually.
It is empowering. And remember, the Internet Archive itself is a testament to resilience.
Yeah.
They're back online,
Right.
they're rebuilding, and they're not giving up.
Yeah.
And neither should we.
This whole deep dive started with a sense of concern, maybe even a bit of alarm.
Right.
But I'm ending it feeling a sense of hope. Like we can actually make a difference.
We can. I'm glad to hear that. So to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
Yeah.
The future of digital culture depends on all of us.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around us.